Hello, how's everybody doing? Well, today we're going to I'm going to talk about the conscience. I don't know exactly, I'm sorry, what title it's going to be, but it pretty much stopped everything. I mean, I put down, like notes that I have to have for today because it really stopped everything. I was doing, not stopped, like never, I'm not going to do anything else with the program, with access program, but it like changed everything. I mean, that's one reason why it was very good to do the program, the access program. I wanted to do this one yesterday, but it was so much information. It was so powerful. If you see the last YouTube I did on the access program, it was on lying, I think. Don't lie about anything. I think that's what it was. And then I figured how the world, now we know what I don't want to say summation, because okay, I want to say, I guess I can say, let me see something. Okay, I'm going to use summation of, I'm just very skeptical about using certain words because everybody has Google now. That's another reason why. But I'm not going to use it. But anyway, what I feel about, how can I say, about the conscience. That's what I want to. Anyway, okay, so now we talked about the access program, okay? Because I was gonna go off on a tangent, but I'm gonna stay to the notes and stick. I pretty much stick on, or I focus on what I'm going to talk about. That's one thing I always don't like to go off on tangents, but I sometimes do, which is good, sometimes. But anyway, now starting back. Okay, so we did the lies, and that showed me about a conscience. So now I know what I was getting ready to say because the world, like I said, now we know what I've drawn a conclusion as far as the world is concerned, the world of Christianity, like they didn't have in Jesus' time. And I noticed that they had a conscience. As far as the world is concerned, because every time I do a table, I put down the Jehovah Witness, ex-Jehovah Witness, and then I put down the worldview, meaning the context of the ex-Jehovah Witnesses. Of the Christianity in general. And the reason why I use that as the world is because it's something that Jesus gave us. It was like he provided us to be able to worship him the way that we want to. That's why I feel that religion is pretty much disagreements upon what Jesus gave us and, the Bible or whatever. But we all have a general feeling about something and we all get along to live together. And it wasn't easy, but now we're able to live together in different religions, meaning different disagreements upon things. And that makes a world, a Christian world, okay? Or you don't even have to say Christian world. You could just say a world that understands other viewpoints as far as Jesus is concerned and the way the world is going to end up or how the future is going to be or whatever. So that what the world is. And I noticed that they had conscience when I came to about lying, about the over excess of, if you see the last YouTube, we're doing a table. And the way the viewpoint of the Jehovah Witness, which is over excess. I think that's the way I put it. Over excessive about lying. And then the ex-Jehovah Witnesses, because they came out of that system, they pretty much have to settle things. But then I noticed when I was doing the world view, it was like, well, they use their conscience very easy, okay? And that's what made me start thinking about, wait, stop, like, what's going on here? I mean, I didn't see that point, and that's one reason why it's good that I'm doing this, because you could see everything that went into your head as a Jehovah Witness, and how you had to change things to live in the world, okay? But when I say world, it still doesn't add up to the Jehovah Witness viewpoint of the world, okay? But it did change to something good. So they have a conscience, and I was saying, like, wow, it was so much. And I said, let me do a YouTube on it. And I said, wait, I have to go over this information. I have to let it sink in. And I let it sink in. And it was really something beautiful. So first I wanted to work with the definition. First, another reason why I'm afraid of certain words to use, because everybody has Google, and things are going to change as far as definitions are concerned and things like that. It's just everything is going to the way that the things happen as far as technology, which is very good. It's going to change the way we speak a lot. As you can see, and as you will see, because when you tell somebody something nowadays, they can just look it up on Google and see, or get some background information on it, So first of all, I had to look up what a conscience is, as far as the Google is concerned, okay? And this is what I came up with. Okay, the definition, I wrote it down, okay? The general definition is an inner feeling or voice viewed as acting as a guide to the rightness or wrongness of one's behavior, okay? So that's the general definition that I got from Google. And that's a big thing, because I was saying to myself, I was like, wow. I mean, like, everything is scattered. Everything was so scattered, and it boils down to something that's very important, which is an inner feeling or voice. So I know I said a lot of times, like, I was thinking about this, and God told me this, and this happened this way, and I never realized to separate the conscience from everything else, okay? And then I wanted to see the biblical, or what those who are concentrated in a certain Christian religion, or a Christian, or call them sub-Christians, what would they think about it, and the general opinion. And remember, everything that we do is pretty much from another human being, who hopefully, or organization who hopefully looks at things in an open manner. So this is what I got from what is conscience in the Bible. And it says, okay, so I don't like to look sideways. You pretty much like to look face to face, but I'm reading this, okay? So what is conscience in the Bible? Some Christians believe that the conscience is the voice of God. Remember, this is someone's opinion, which, I like. God is speaking to individuals, guiding them to do the right thing in a given situation. Conscience can be described as a moral sense of right or wrong. A conscience must be educated, as an uneducated conscience can make a wrong decision. Okay. So we have that definition, and now we can form our own definition. We can talk about, to discuss, and come up with a definition for our channel or whatever, or I can come up with a definition what I think we all would agree upon. Now, the reason why it changes things is because what I know from a conscience, and I'm almost sure everybody would agree would agree with me, is that we all are individuals, and I always say individuals, which means that each and every one of us have consciences, okay? And we have our own conscience. Isn't that something big? And I never even thought about it before I was doing this Access program. So if you look at everybody that has their own conscience, that's a really big deal. And one point I like from here is it says it can be uneducated or it can be educated, okay? So it's all different types of consciences, just like there's different kinds of people. So then I was putting it into a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't put it on the table because it doesn't have anything to do with the table. However, it does change my opinion of the table. I have something in the oven. I mean, the oven just preheated to my temperature. So I'm going to try and get through this. So, let's get through it. Now we can go through the notes. So, do Jehovah's Witnesses, the name of this one is going to be, do Jehovah's Witnesses have conscience? Okay. Now, one story I can tell you, experience that happened to me, is I had not a nephew, but a cousin that passed away. Okay. And they were the cousins, one cousin that wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. Our other cousins were Jehovah's Witnesses that we associated with. And we went to his funeral, and they used to go to church. And we all went to, as Jehovah's Witnesses, I was in my aunt's car. And we stopped at the church because, we went to the church, and then we were going to go to how they used to do it, how my aunt did it. She wasn't a Jehovah's Witness like everybody else does it normally. They bury him, okay, no cremation. And so we stopped at the church, but the Jehovah's Witnesses wouldn't go in. They were waiting to go to the burial, okay? So, we stopped at the church, and I was with my best cousin. I was in her car because my aunt was her mother, Linda, okay? And and I said, I was like, I don't know how it came about, but they said something about, question about going in. And Linda said, you can go in, but it's up to your conscience. And I didn't hear that before. And when it was up to my conscience, I looked and I found that it was the right thing to do. So I went into the church. It had already started. And I walked up to the front and I sat down. And my aunt was not really an aunt. I mean, she was my aunt, yes, but it was my brother's aunt. I spoke about her in a YouTube before, I'm almost sure. And she was talking about Jeffrey, And I was like there in the church, but I didn't feel bad or anything because I was doing it with my conscience that I didn't even realize that it was the first time anybody ever said about a conscience. So with this conscience I had, and believe me, I dropped it after I left there, it didn't feel wrong or anything. And I waited for my aunt to say something, and she said something, and then I got up and I walked out. it's just like, God, I went back into the car. And it's so weird. I didn't even realize. But anyway, years later, I didn't realize. But my cousin, who was her brother of the person that died, she realized it and she never forgot that. And that was something else. But that's to show you that I went into my conscience and I didn't even realize I had one. And then after that, I dropped it. I must have dropped it. I never had anybody ask me that question before as a Jehovah's Witness. So, but now I can see a lot of things that I did. I remember when my brother, as I said in another YouTube, my brother was disfellowshipped and he had to sit outside after the meeting. And I had a feeling, now I know the feeling is a conscience, that I had to go speak to him. But it would have been nice to know that I had a conscience, you know? So now a lot of things changed because a lot of things that I expressed on YouTube, I didn't realize that I was doing it with my conscience. So do Jehovah's Witnesses have conscience? Let me see if I can finish these notes. Let me sing. Do Jehovah's Witnesses have conscience? Oh, I never heard of it used freely, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, there's another point I want to say. Do Jehovah's Witnesses have conscience? Well, listen. If you go back in the story that I just told, my cousin she used to pioneer all the time, and she said it's up to your conscience. So what about her conscience? That means her conscience is hooked to the Jehovah's Witness. So it's not really all her conscience. I acted as an individual, but those who didn't go, they had a conscience that was linked to the Jehovah's Witness. So their conscience, I can say they have a conscience, but it's not a free conscience to where you make your decisions for the conscience. Okay, because now I can go to these notes. I'm going to go through my experience with the conscience. I told you about my experience with conscience already as a Jehovah's Witness. But I have a lot of family and I have a lot of friends, and I have never, ever felt that they went to their individual conscience. So where's their conscience? I can actually say that they pretty much, how can I say, their conscience is kind of like hooked in, or it's not really, I can't really say it's a free conscience. So I can say that their conscience is not free. Because my sisters, now that I notice about conscience, is they have a conscience, but it's closed to where they go to something else instead of using their conscience. Like my sisters, when they talk, now I can see they're not who they are because their conscience is locked, or it's hidden. I would just have to say that the conscience, is their conscience blinded? So I'm going to stop right there because I want to figure out the thing about the conscience. And what I see so far is that their conscience is, their conscience seems as if is that the thing that blinds them? Because they don't have a free conscience. So is it that their conscience is blinded? Or their yeah, okay, see. So let's figure out what is blind. Blind, when they say that they're blind, because God cannot talk to their conscience. I mean, it's hard because their conscience is being held by something. So I'm going to stop there and I'm going to go over that point. And we're going to finish discussing the conscience as far as, do Jehovah's Witnesses have consciences? Or is it that their conscience is blind? And I'll finish with that. And then I'll come back tomorrow. And now I'm going to focus on that point as far as what happened to the consciences of the Jehovah's Witness, because they don't have a free conscience, I can tell, as far as the way they treat their brothers and sisters who left the congregation. They don't treat them individually different, as if they were individual. They're all doing the same thing. So that shows me that their conscience is in some kind of state. But I'm gonna go now, and then I'm gonna figure out this part. And I want everybody to think about that, because I'm gonna come back tomorrow and finish the conversation about conscience. Thank you very much.